you see your book as a wake-up call for the European intellectual elite?
Wow, that would be, I hope it is that, among other things, you know. What I tried to do was discuss, frankly, every aspect of the immigration problem in a way that would be listened to.
But you were accused of stoking Islamophobia.
And one of the big problems is that the groupthink of European intellectual elites. There's an absolute inability to just have an honest discussion about, for example, how much low-income housing costs in Holland, or how high the rates of crime are in particular suburbs in France, or how religious are French immigrants. A study came out this week by Gilles Kepel in the Institut Montaigne in Paris, which is not a radical group by any stretch of the imagination, that found a great rise in Islamic identification in Clichy-sous-Bois and other problem suburbs.
In Paris, here in Paris.
Around Paris. These are the suburbs that were involved in the riots of 2005. And in 2005, when Alain Finkielkraut, the French philosopher, said, well, you know, there's a degree of Islamist or third world identification in these suburbs. When he was brave enough to say that, he was not only attacked in public, he was hauled into court. He was sued for having the temerity to say that. So I think there's a very locked down sort of self-censorship among most intellectuals that is a big part of the problem.
And as you say, it's impossible, in your opinion, to have a sort of a reasonable argument without people being attacked, if indeed they veer off what is deemed to be the political correct path, and raising issues. Do you think that's something that can be overcome, though?
It has to be overcome. And you know, these things tend to be overcome when a crisis gets too big. I mean, if you compare it to the finance crisis, there was not that much open dissent about our economic system, not as much as there is now that we're all heading into the gutter, you know what I mean? In the same way, when things happen like the riots in France in 2005, the riots in Britain more recently, although their link to immigration and ethnicity is less clear than the French riots were. When things like that happen, people either have to talk about them, or they'll just be, without talking about these things, you can't solve these problems. So this discussion will force itself on the public.
But is the onus